Who better to visit with on the topic than the 2019 Spink Award winner. Jayson Stark got the award. He's a Hall of Famer himself, and he gets to vote as he has for his virtually his entire career. It's always interesting when Jayson votes for Philly guys. We'll give him a pass on Utley and Rollins because even a non-Philly guy would vote for them. This is Jayson's ballot this year, and I guess as we say hi to Jayson from Cooperstown, we'll dig right in on the low-hanging fruit here, Jayson. Good morning on Ichiro and on CC.
Hey, Matty.
I'm curious what you think about Ichiro's chances at being a unanimous first ballot 100%er today.
Yeah, I think he's the man for the job. Never had a unanimous position player. And what reason is there on earth to not vote for Ichiro Suzuki? 10 straight years of 200 hits and a gold glove. You know how many other guys in the history of baseball could say that, Matt? That's none. We've been following these votes through the Hall of Fame tracker for a decade. This is only the third time we've gone into an election day where a guy on the tracker was unanimous. One was Derek Jeter, one was Ken Griffey. They were both 99% but missed out. Ichiro's still at 100. We're over 50% of the votes tabulated. I just have a gut feel he's going to get there.
Oh, man. We're all hopeful for that, too. We think that it's just such an easy proposition, and we knew this when this class kind of came to fruition. You looked at it and said, okay, Ichiro and CC first ballot. There are some that think CC's a Hall of Famer but not a first ballot guy. Yonder and I disagree. We think he's a first ballot guy as well. And I know he's on your ballot too, Jayson.
Yeah, you know, I'm surprised that CC on the tracker is tracking over 90% and looks like he's going to land around 90%. Like when I first got my ballot, Matt, it wouldn't surprise me if he'd gotten 50% because you have to look past his ERA, which was 3.74. It would be the highest of any left-handed starter in the Hall of Fame. And yet, you know, I was doing a reader mailbag column a couple months ago, and somebody said to me, CC, he's just a compiler. Are you kidding? He's the anti-compiler. CC had 5 straight years where he was in the top 5 in the Cy Young voting. 2008 might have been the greatest trade deadline starting pitching acquisition ever. He looked at the Brewers. They were starting to wobble, and he said, just give me the ball. And he, counting the playoffs, made 5 consecutive starts on short rest, got him in. That year, he led both leagues in shutouts. Think how hard that is to do. Nobody's ever done it. There's just something special about CC. I think he sealed it when he got to New York. First year with the Yankees, the highest paid pitcher in the history of baseball, leads them to the postseason, had a sub-2 ERA that year as they won the World Series. CC feels like a legend to me, and I think the votes are reflecting that.
Hey, Jay, is in some time, has this been one of the strongest first-year candidate classes that you've seen in some time?
Yonder, it really is. I actually wrote about this a few weeks ago. We had 9 players on this ballot who had multiple 6-win seasons, if you go by WAR on Baseball Reference. If you go by Fangraphs, there were 11. We've never really seen anything like that. And so, you know, when you look at this group, there's obviously some incredible names here, but some of them, like Troy Tulowitzki on the tracker right now, has no votes. Troy Tulowitzki was in the best player in baseball conversation for 5 years, but it's such a deep ballot, there just doesn't seem to be room for him. It was frustrating not to be able to vote for more of these guys. I mean, 2 that stick out for me are the 2 catchers, Russell Martin, Brian McCann. Ian Kinsler had a great career. I mean, those guys may or may not get beyond 5%, but an amazing group. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, who else in the first-timer category did you feel strongly about on this ballot, Jayson?
You know, I'll tell you, the guy I spent the most time with, Matt, was Dustin Pedroia. And you guys have heard every Dustin Pedroia story that I've heard. A guy who got to the ballpark for a night game by 11 in the morning, was taking ground balls in an empty ballpark at noon, was in full uniform like 2 hours before first pitch because he couldn't wait to play that night and lift everyone around him. You know, you kind of live in the what-if world if you look at Dustin Pedroia's career, because we'll never know what would have happened if Manny Machado had not slid into him and he'd gotten hurt. But his first 11 seasons, how about this? Rookie of the Year, MVP, 2 World Series, 4 Gold Gloves. Only 2 players in the history of baseball can say that. One is Dustin Pedroia, the other is Johnny Bench. And so I voted for Pedroia just to make sure he stayed in the conversation as we start to gravitate as voters toward guys with big peaks. It's hard to find somebody who had a bigger peak at that position and had more of an impact on winning than that guy.
Jayson, we appreciate the visit. I know how much this day means to you. We can see it. There's an extra spring in your step this morning, as there is for all of us. Enjoy what's about to go down in Cooperstown today. And I know we'll be seeing more of you on the network this afternoon. Thanks for the time this morning.